Hey guitar fans, Tempe here. Let's check out the update to this SG. All right, here it is. So we have the fret markers, these stickers that are put on, and new pickups, new audio harness. So let me start with the stickers first. So the stickers were tricky, and there's no real way to line up the fret markers to make sure they're centered top to bottom and left to right. You just have to eyeball it. And the stickers themselves are very sticky, and they're on a sticky backing material. So if any of that stuff touches the fretboard before you're really ready to put it in place, it can be really tricky to pull it off. But my plan is not to keep the stuff on there. It was just to get a sense of what fret markers would look like on this. Overall, I think they came out pretty nice. I don't know that I would leave them on there permanently, but from a distance, you can't tell. They might look a little bit crooked if you knew that they were stickers, but otherwise, I think they work out pretty well. So now let's talk about the pickups. So I ran into a few issues. The knobs themselves, the pots, are not in the traditional spacing. They're actually wider apart than a regular SG. So as a result, I thought I was going to be able to just drop this in there, but the wiring was too tight for me to spread them out far enough. So I had to send the whole harness back and have it rewired so that it was wider. So I got it back, dropped it in, hooked everything up, followed the directions, pretty easy. If you know how to solder, it's not so bad. And I had horrible hum. It was terrible. It turns out that the ground wire that goes from this post into the cavity had been pulled back through, and I pulled the pickups back through. I believe the little wire there got pulled back in, so I was able to fish that back through. Soldered it up. Still a problem. What happened was that little wire got broken and I didn't realize it. So I had to pull this post out, and there's a like a bushing or cowling. I'm not quite sure what the term is for it, but the screw, there's like a metal cylinder that's in the wood that this bolt actually screws into. So you have to pull that cylinder out and get this wire, because this wire has to touch that cylinder so that all of the strings and all the bridge and the tuning pegs are all connected electrically to the ground. That's what you have to make sure is connected. So I took a long piece of wire and I made sure it went all the way through the cavity and wound around that post pretty well. I found on YouTube, I found a really cool tool that helps you pull that cylinder out. You use a PVC pipe, and you have to play around with how tall it is. You use a large washer on top of that, and then I took this bolt to the hardware store, and I had someone help me find the same exact bolt but longer. So what you do is you put down. I used an old mouse pad on top first to protect the top of the guitar, and then you put the PVC pipe down, and then you put on the washer, and then you start threading that bolt into that cylinder, and you need to use a ratchet because it's really tight, but you basically start tightening that ratchet, and it'll gradually pull that cylinder out of there. It worked out really well. So I fixed that up, soldered that up, good to go? No. Still have this really bad hum. So I went through and soldered up every single contact point again, every single solder joint, thinking maybe there was a cold solder joint somewhere. I retraced the wiring to make sure every wire was correct in the right spot. Everything was good, and it still had that hum. So I switched out the audio, the output jack, and that's what it was. So the reason I left the original one in, the output jack on this guitar is on the side of the guitar, which is unique. Normally, they're on the top of the guitar. So it's on the side of the guitar, and it's this really, it's a long cylinder that is kind of clamped in there. And I was hoping to leave it in there because it doesn't wiggle free, which is great. So I just soldered it the wires to that, and it didn't work. So I'm going to have to either try to fix that or find a replacement for it, which is what I would prefer to do, because the side of this guitar is so thin. I'm afraid that if I try to use a traditional jack and I have to widen that hole, I may weaken it. So I may have to put it on the top. I want to avoid that. So that's another issue I'm going to have to deal with. Also, these pots are a lot taller because they're push-pulls. They're a lot taller than normal traditional pots. And so because this guitar is so thin, they're actually sticking out. I can't put the back cavity cover on right now. So I have to route these out a little bit and try to get the pots to sit a little deeper in. Hopefully that won't be a problem, but I'm going to have to deal with that next and figure out this output jack situation. So let me do a basic playthrough of these of the pickups and give you a sense of what's on tap here. So this is the neck pickup as a humbucker. Right. And this is neck and bridge. And this is just bridge. All right, and then I'm going to pull the bridge tone, and that gives me a out of phase pickups when I'm on the middle position. It's a little thinner. Right. Okay. And then I'm going to pull the neck tone, and that's going to put the pickups in series. So now when I have on the switch, when I have the bridge pickup selected, the bridge position, I should say. Again, sound, notice it's like bassier. And when I go to the middle position, I get the same sound. Now, when I go to the bridge position, there's nothing there, right? It's like a kill switch. And I think they do that because I didn't notice any difference between how the pickups were set up. And that's probably what it is. It probably doesn't matter what the switch does. You're going to get the same sound. So they put in a little kill switch option. So now I'm going to switch to, I'll put the two pickups in, I'm going to split them. Okay. So this is just the neck position, split, it's quieter. All right. This is both of them. All right. This is just the bridge. And then I'll pull the bridge tone knob, and now they're out of phase. Right, and I can stack them. In series. In series. And kill. All right, and it's also possible to combine the pickups. Like I can have let's say the neck as a humbucker and the bridge as a single coil, and you can combine those together. That's both of them on together, and then this is just the bridge pickup, and then you could reverse that. This is the bridge as a humbucker, and then this is both of them together, but the neck is tapped, and just the neck tapped. And all that could be out of phase. And I mean, there's all kinds of options. It's really cool. It worked out pretty well. I was concerned about hum issues. I was a nightmare trying to figure all that out. But once I got it figured out, I'm really happy with it. I think once I get the back of it closed up, I don't think I'm going to have any grounding issues or any hum issues. I don't think I'm going to have to shield it. I'm going to try to avoid shielding it because that can affect the tone a little bit. We'll see. It's all a learning process, that's for sure. So also I discovered, I found a local luthier who's like actually 5 minutes from my house. he builds beautiful archtop guitars, and he's really good at finishing guitars and stuff. So I took this guitar over and explained the project, and that I'm interested in maybe getting inlay work done and refinishing the guitar. And I was hoping for some tips, for some pointers. And as we talked, I realized, wow, refinishing the guitar to do it right is really complex and probably outside of my skill set. So I think I'm going to have him refinish the guitar. And I'm going to look into seeing if he can do the inlay work on the guitars that he has made. He does beautiful inlay work. So I'm going to get a sense of what that costs and kind of make a decision here. I'll definitely get the guitar refinished, I think. I definitely will get new frets as well. I definitely like the taller stainless steel frets. And I got a guy up in Baltimore that is really kind of knows how I like my guitars set up, so I'm going to go with that. So that's going to be the next phase. I got to deal with this output jack and make this route the pots out so I can fit them in there a little better, and then we'll go from there. So the sequence of events will be removing the frets first, and then putting the fret markers on, and then put the new frets on, and then refinish the guitar. So a few of those things will happen. Maybe all of that, we'll see. That's going to be the next step. Also, while I'm thinking of it, I wanted to mention that the pickups that were originally in here were actually called T-tops. And they're called T-tops because if you look at the plastic bobbins, there's a little T on there. So those are the original ones that were in there. They were used in the 70s and the 80s from what I have gathered. And apparently people didn't like them. They were swapping them out for other pickups, and now they're actually kind of in high demand. So there you go. There's the update, and I'm not quite sure how long this next phase is going to take. It'll be a little while, I'm sure. Please subscribe so you can find out about further updates on this guitar, and check out some of my other videos as well. I've got some instructional videos. I've got some performance videos and some student performances as well. And thanks for watching this. Take care.